You know, there's a special kind of fear that you can only get when you're completely, totally alone in the middle of nowhere. It's ancient, it's primal. Today, we're not just going to tell some spooky stories. No, we're going to break down exactly why these tales of isolation and the unknown get under our skin so badly. And we're going to use 3 chilling real-life accounts to map out the anatomy of deep woods horror.
So this quote, man, it just perfectly captures the mindset we're talking about here. This isn't about someone accidentally stumbling off a path. These stories are about people who willingly go looking for the edge of the map, who want to walk that razor-thin line between an adventure and real danger. So first up, why? What is the lure of all that isolation? Well, for a lot of people, the deep woods aren't scary at all. They're freedom, they're a test of your skills, and they're this powerful escape from all the noise of our daily lives.
And what's really fascinating is when you look at why they go. You see this common thread, right? One guy talks about having a risk tolerance I can't relate to anymore. Another one's just trying to get away from a rough stretch of work. For others, it's all about the thrill of finding those places you just weren't supposed to be, like an abandoned fire tower with a 360-degree view. But the goal? It's always the same: to be completely, 100% off the grid.
Every one of these stories has that moment, the turning point. It's when that peaceful, perfect escape is just shattered by something that shouldn't happen. When the wilderness stops feeling like a sanctuary and starts to feel like a threat.
And in each story, the beginning is so deceptively calm. I mean, picture it. For one guy, the weather's great, the trail is totally empty. For another, he's found his prize, that unbelievable view from the top of an old fire tower. Everything is going exactly to plan. And then, just like that feeling of being in control is gone. The very same environment that brought you peace a minute ago suddenly becomes the source of this creeping dread. And this is how that calm just shatters for each of them. A violent thunderstorm just brews up out of a clear sky, forcing a backpacker to run for shelter. A camper wakes up in the dead of night to a silent, mysterious campfire, just sitting there 200 yards away. And up in that fire tower, a loud, echoing clang just rips through the silence, basically announcing to whatever's out there for miles that someone is here. All right, let's get into the next stage, because this is where things get really creepy. This is the shift from just, bad luck, to this chilling feeling that something out there is actively hostile. The narrators start finding clues that suggest they're not just dealing with nature, but with some kind of intelligent, malicious presence. There's this idea called environmental storytelling. It's basically when the place itself starts telling you a story. And this is a perfect example of what happened to the backpacker who found that old cabin. The shelter he thought was going to save him, well, it slowly starts to reveal that it used to be a prison. Okay, just walk through this discovery with him. First, he sees dozens of deep scratches on the inside walls. Weird, right? But maybe it's just old. Then, he sees a bracket for a padlock on the outside of the door. And then, the final stomach-turning clue. The only window is screwed shut, also from the outside. This cabin wasn't built to keep things out. It was built to keep someone in. And that question just hangs there, right? What happened in that cabin all those years ago? But for our other guys, the question isn't about the past. It's about what is happening to them right now, as they start experiencing things that just defy all logic. I mean, check this out. Your brain always tries to make sense of things. You hear a huge crack and a thud. Okay, must be a tree falling in a storm. But the reality? There's no wind. And then a second tree falls in a totally different direction. Up in the tower, they hear metallic clangs. Logical cause? Wind hitting the metal. The reality? It turns into grinding sounds, like the tower itself is being twisted apart. This is where reason just breaks down completely. And this is where it all comes to a head. This is the moment when the psychological dread becomes a very real physical threat. The unseen thing finally shows itself, and the game changes from a creepy mystery to a desperate fight to survive. At the fire tower, the whole thing starts with this terrifyingly deliberate approach. At 8:45, it's just a faint light way off in the distance. 15 minutes later, it zips forward, unnaturally fast. By 9:10, it stops, directly below them, 70 feet down, just sitting there. And then after 30 agonizing minutes of silence, it just blinks out, plunging them into an even deeper, more terrifying darkness. From there, the escalation is just rapid and violent.
At the tower, they see the dark outline of a figure move past the window, impossibly high up. In the cabin, the threat is way more direct. The window shatters and a firebomb gets thrown inside. As the backpacker is scrambling to escape the flames, he's tackled from behind and brutally attacked in the dark, rainy woods.
Now, for the third camper, the one who heard the trees falling, the confrontation is quieter, but somehow no less horrifying. When he goes to investigate the next morning, he realizes this massive tree hadn't just snapped or been blown over. His conclusion is absolutely chilling. Something had worked on that trunk until it came down.
And then he finds this, the thing that turns your blood to ice. His own bandana and a carabiner, stolen right out of his pack while he was sleeping, placed like a trophy right next to the fallen tree. This wasn't random. He wasn't just near something dangerous. He was being watched. He was being stalked. He was being toyed with.
So, how do you even come back from something like that? The truth is, the horror doesn't end when you escape. It lingers. It stays with you in the scars, the mysteries, and the deep, deep trauma of coming face to face with something you can't explain and getting zero answers.
And this number, well, it says it all. 2. 2 of these incredibly experienced outdoorsmen swore, after what happened to them, that they would never, ever go into the backcountry alone again. The experience changed them permanently.
And if we lay these out like unsolved case files, the questions are just maddening. The cabin, what was the motive? Why try to trap and kill a total stranger? The fire tower, how does an entire section of a steel staircase just vanish overnight without a sound? And the campsite, what kind of creature can chew through a massive tree, and why would it steal his gear? These are the questions that will just haunt them probably for the rest of their lives.
And that really brings us to the final thought, doesn't it? Because maybe the deepest fear isn't just about what's in the woods, but about the things we encounter anywhere that justify explanation. It forces you to admit that maybe we don't understand the world nearly as well as we think we do. So I'll leave you with this. What's the scariest thing you've ever experienced that you still can't explain?